So feet nice and wide. Let's open up the hips, turn that right foot out for me, and bring your right hand down to the floor. Take your left hand up to the ceiling. So bend your knee a little bit deeper. So you're gonna go stretching deeper into the adductors. Take that left hand over your head, reaching across your face, and then drop the left hand onto the floor and pivot up onto your back tippy toes. So you're up onto your tippy toes, and then take the right hand to the ceiling. So you're rolling that right arm back as far as you can. Yes, now let's change to the other side. So go over to the left foot, bend your left knee, twist that right arm up to the ceiling, reach over your head with that arm, so stretch it towards that end wall. Good, drop the right hand onto the floor, go onto your tippy toes, and then take the left hand to the ceiling, so open up that lower back. Good, let's do 2 more, all the way across, back over to the right foot, bending your right knee, take the left hand again up to the ceiling, hold your balance, reach the arm over your head, nice big stretch. And then drop the left hand down, twist over and reach the right hand to the ceiling, and just let your hips sink towards the floor. And last time, all the way over, left foot, bending your left knee, twist that right arm up to the ceiling, stretching the arm up, keep your balance, take the arm over your head, drop the right hand onto the floor, twist onto your tippy toes, and let's take the left hand to the ceiling. Nice big stretch for that lower back. Now drop the hands down, drop your knee onto the floor, and just bend your front knee as far forward as you can. So bend that front knee, and then hands on the ground. You can drop your head down, or if you're flexible enough, put your elbows on the floor. So get down as deep as you can as this hip stretch, and rock your pelvis from side to side. So it's nice and gentle, not forcing it. Now push up onto your hands. Let's do the same to your other side. So all the way across, drop your back knee to the ground. And again, bend your elbows to get down, or put your elbows on the floor and rock your hips from side to side, just opening up those hip flexors, opening up across that lower back. And then bring it back into center. So 2 legs nice and wide for me. Put your left hand onto the ground, twist that right arm to the ceiling. Now rotate your back. See if you can look up to the ceiling. And then change those arms. Twist, turn your head, neck, and shoulders to look up towards the top hand. Drop the hands onto the floor, walk your feet together, and roll up into standing. So all the way back up, bring your 2 ankles all the way in, so 2 feet touching, hands on your legs. Come down slowly into your stretch. Now give yourself support, so grab the legs if you need more support. Bend your right leg, but keep your left leg straight. And then straighten that right leg, bend your left leg. And as you straighten out those thighs, squeeze your inner thighs together, roll the spine back up, roll your shoulder blades back, and then bring your heels in, toes out. Curl down, hands on your legs, come down slowly into that stretch. So all the way down or as far as you can, don't force it. Bending the right leg, keep your left leg straight. And then straighten that right leg, bend your left leg. Nice big stretch. Now as you straighten out those legs, squeeze those thighs, roll the spine back up, roll your shoulder blades back and down, and then bring your toes in, heels out. Curl down, so pull your belly button in, slide the hands down along your legs, reach down into the stretch. Again, bending just the right leg and keeping your left leg nice and straight. And then straighten that right leg, bend your left leg. And as you straighten out those legs, roll that spine back up and sit down and get comfortable. So down onto the mats, we're going to start with our crisscross. Now crisscross, again, just for those oblique muscles here, side of your waist, you're going to take the hands behind your head. So lift your head up off the floor and take your knees up into tabletop position. So get nice and comfortable. Now lift your shoulders up as high as you can. Now we'll keep your elbows outside of your line of vision. Twist to the right and see if you're comfortable with straightening the left leg out. Good. Bring it back to center. See if you can do this with your head off the floor. Exhale, twist. Inhale, back to center. Exhale. Imagine your toe is trying to touch the far wall. Reach that leg out of the hip socket. So reach, reach, reach. And then bring it back to center. Let's do another 4, just warming up those obliques. Inhale, back to center. For 3, exhale, twist, twist, twist. Elbows nice and wide. Inhale. Last 2. Exhale, twist. And on your last one, you're going to twist across, hold that position. So you're going to reach that arm past your knee. So you're going to reach your arm past your, yes. Now imagine trying to reach up and slide your elbow up to your knee. Do it 4 times. For 3, keep that leg nice and steady. For 2, feel the tummy muscles burning. 1, let's do the other side because we have to create balance. Twist across, reach the elbow past the knee. Slide up and see if you can make contact elbow to knee. Do 4. That's it. For 3. For 2. for one, and grab the knees, switch off. That's a quick way to warm up the thigh muscles. Pulling your knees in and rocking your lower backs from side to side, softening your spine. Now let's roll like a ball just again to soften that lumbar spine. Come up onto your tailbones. Make sure there's nothing behind you. Grab your ankles and just round your back into that mat. So you're going to inhale, fill up your lungs. Exhale, release. Inhale. And then exhale. Nice and gentle. Do another 4. Exhale all that air out. So fill up your lungs. Inhale. 3. Exhale out. Inhale up. 2 more. Curl the back. Listen to any kind of thumping when you're back on the ground. Now, last one. Drop back down onto the mat. Bring your 2 heels to your bum. Sink the knees over and stretch those arms above your head. Press your shoulder blades back into that mat. And then slowly go all the way across the other side. So turn your knees over. Press your shoulder blades back nice and gentle. And then bring it back into center. Now, let's sit nice and tall. We're going to do full roll-ups. Now, if you need assistance, all you do is you either grab your long bands and you can wrap them around your feet, or you can put a cushion behind your back. But if you can do it without any equipment today, that's even better because it just makes you a little bit stronger. So 2 heels to the end of your mat and reach the hands forward. If you're not using the bands, you're just holding the arms out in front as if you're trying to touch the imaginary wall past your feet. You're going to sit nice and tall, shoulders over your hips. Inhale. Make sure there's nothing behind you. Exhale, come down slowly. So round your back, slowly come down. Now feel those 2 muscles pulling in and not pushing out towards the ceiling. Inhale, hands to the ceiling. Exhale, chin to your chest. Try come up slowly without separating your heels or lifting your feet off the floor. Yes, come forward and stretch out those hamstrings. Take a deep breath in. Stack your shoulders over your hips. Exhale, collapse your ribs down. Come down slowly. Now keep those shoulders down away from your ears. So you're not pulling up towards those earlobes. Inhale, hands to the ceiling. Exhale to roll. Holding those 2 muscles in and feel the belly button pulling in. You're not thickening those abdominals. Reach forward towards your tippy toes. Inhale, sit up nice and tall. Exhale, shoulders down and roll. So curl that tailbone. Perfect. Sinking down with control. Good, let's do 2 more. Inhale up. Exhale, chin to your chest. And just feel your spine lifting 1 vertebrae at a time off that mat. Inhale, sit nice and tall. Stack your shoulders over your hips. Exhale, shoulders down as you roll down and keep those legs nice and long. Squeeze those inner thighs together. This is our last one. Inhale to the ceiling. Exhale to roll. Pulling in those 2 muscles. That's it. Come forward, stretch out your hamstrings, taking the pressure off your back. Roll all the way back down to the mat for me. So slowly exhale, exhale, exhale. Nice and gentle all the way to the floor. Release. Do a little stretch. Bring your heels to your bum. Sink the knees over and press those shoulder blades back into that mat. Nice and gentle. Roll the knees over to the other side and just feel that pull just across that lumbar spine. And then bring it back into center. Now, let's come up onto the tailbones and I cap those knees nice and bent like this one. So we're going to hook the hands behind those kneecaps on this one. Now your objective is to round that lower back because a lot of people have a little bit of stiffness here to your lumbar spine. So you're going to start by activating your back by pulling your elbows past your ribs and squeezing the shoulder blades back there. And then you're just going to lengthen and roll back and we're going to hold, pulling those 2 muscles in. Now you're not 100% relying on your hands. You got to just think about your tummy muscles pulling in. And then when you come back up, lift the spine out of the pelvis and squeeze the shoulder blades back. Inhale, sit tall. Exhale, draw your belly button in and pull, 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 pull as you go down. Now keep your shoulders down away from your ears. Use the fingertips to come back up. Lift the spine out of the pelvis. Inhale and then exhale. 2 more like this. So we're just softening the lower back, but we're supporting it with the hands. And just hold it. Look at the tummy muscles. Pull in, pull in, pull in. Come back up. Keep the shoulders down. Lift the spine out of the pelvis. Inhale, last one. Exhale, come down. Now brace your 2 muscles. Hold it here. You're holding those knees. See if you can take your legs off the floor. This is a challenge. And just hold those abdominals in so you can get your lower back onto the ground. That's it. Balance. Breathe for a few more seconds. That's it. So print your lower back into the floor now. We've slowly come down onto that mat. Extend those arms in tabletop position, legs. Excellent. And start to pump your arms nice and controlled. See if you can breathe in through the nose, out to the mouth. Now, if you're a little bit stronger, you can take those legs to the ceiling and you can do 5 breaths with the legs straight. And then you can maybe do 5 breaths with the legs bent. So you can play around with it if you want to. So you're going to Inhale, take the legs up, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, down. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Take those legs up. Good. Exhale, come down. 2 more. And we're going to keep the legs up. So you're going to inhale, keep the legs up. 2, 4, legs up. 2, 3, 4, 5. One more time. Inhale. And exhale, slowly drop those legs back down onto the floor. Release, pull your knees into your chest and soften those back muscles as much as you can into that mat. Again, heels to your butt, sink the knees over and stretch out that lower back for me. Nice and gentle. Go all the way across the other side. So we're going to check those hips now with hip circles. And actually, you're quite strong. So we're going to do the straight leg hip circles. So you can extend your left leg out nice and straight for me. And you're actually going to take your right leg up to the ceiling. Now, if you've got a tight hip flexor, you're just going to let it lower, just drop it down a little bit. It's not too bad. But if you need a little bit of assistance, all you do is grab a band and wrap it around the back of the knee just to pull that leg up there. Okay, just for a little bit of support, because I know these hip flexors get super, super tight. And it's just a small bit of support. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to see, can you bring that leg out and around without lifting the left hip off the mat? Okay, so this is just a switch off the hip flexor, that band. That's all it is. So just a little bit of a pull. It's not doing all the work. Your hip is working under its own command. Do one more big circle. Keep the left bum cheek on the floor. Go slowly. Sit and reverse the circles. Now, I know when I do my hip circles, I hear clunking and clicking, which is completely normal. That's it. And you're going to do another 3 circles, squeezing those leg muscles nice and tight. The band's not doing everything. It's just assisting that hip flexor. 2 more. That's it. Perfect. And then 1 more. Now that's the strengthening phase. Now we're going to open it up. We're going to go a little bit further. Bend your knee into your chest. Hook the band over your foot. And now we just do the opening phase, which is pretty much your hip circles again. So grab the ends of your band. And now we're going to do the same thing. This time, bend your elbow. So you're pulling the elbow out and around and you're really stretching and opening that hip. Let the legs sink down and now cross the body over to the other side. So you're opening up the IT band and pull with the band. Use the arm, not the leg. That's it. Swing all the way around. So you're pointing your toes, drawing big circles. And you're supporting. So I know my hip flexor is making all those clicking and clunking noises because when I pull the band, those noises stop. So basically, if you have a snapping hip syndrome, it's basically where the ligament or the tendon of the tissue is just slipping out of its groove. It's crossing the bony joint. Now let's do circles in the opposite direction and just check, is it the feel the same? Does it feel like there's movement or clunking or clicking? Does it feel tighter when you twist the leg across the body? Because you're spiraling that leg out of the hip. Good. Just do 3 more big circles. You're trying to scrape the floor. Yes. Go all the way around. This is mobilizing those hips, taking the pressure off the lower back. Last 2. Now you're using the arm, not the leg, to do all this work. Last 1. Still keeping those abdominals braced. And drop that leg down. So we're going to strengthen the left hip flexor and then lengthen it, okay? Well, not lengthen, we're going to switch it off. So we're going to extend the right leg. Now, actually put the band, at the back of the knee or the back of the hamstring, just to kind of assist this tight hip flexor muscle. Try get the leg as straight as you can. Now, the leg is doing the work, not the band, okay? So brace the tongue muscles. Think about your right hip staying on the floor and draw your circles. And the band is only there for assistance if you need it. If you don't need it, you can drop that band down. This hip is not too bad for me. I don't have any injuries here, so I can actually do it without it. It just clicks a little bit. And you're going to do 2 more big circles. Out and around, just trying to throw the hip off, but don't let it happen. And reverse those circles as big as you're capable. Point those toes out and around. That's it. And again, pull just gently with the bands, not too much effort. Last 2 big circles. You won't get as good a range as when we put the band on the feet. Last 1. And switch off. Pull that band around the foot this time. Let's take it to an opening phase. So hook the band about halfway, maybe a little bit longer. And then just start to swing that leg slowly out and around. Now you still have to keep the right hip, right bum cheek on the floor. But I do want you to cross the body and that opens up across the IT band. right into the biceps more, so right into your outer hip. So go across that body. Use the arm to lift the leg. So the leg does not use its own hip flexors, doesn't use any strengthening muscles. This is just lengthening and opening. Nice and gentle. Do 2 more in this direction. Go across that body, out and around. That's it. Now note the tight areas. It's usually when you go across the body for most people. And on their last one, reverse those circles. So you're going to exhale and inhale. Think about the right side of your body is just glued to that mat as you swing it out and around. And you're trying to scrape your foot off the floor. If you have the room, if you're not kicking anything, I'm kicking a wall. It's not going to happen. Do 3 more big circles, out and around slowly, not forcing it. 2 more big circles. Nice and gentle. And it's the last one. Again, pulling your belly button to your spine. Circle out and around. And then bend your knee, bring it back into center. But put both feet inside your bands right now. So both feet in. And we're going to just print those back muscles. So we were printing on that last one, but I want you to think about your vertebrae, your lower back staying on the ground. Try go to the ends of your bands with your hands. And if you need more assistance, definitely go shorter on those bands. But take the 2 legs up to the ceiling. Now, this is really good to teach your belly button to pull in, okay? So you're going to lift the arms straight up, lift the legs straight up, lift the head off the floor. So you're looking at your kneecaps. Squeeze your inner thighs together. Now, start to lower your legs down and stop the second you feel your back muscles coming up off the mat or you feel like your stomach is sticking out. So if you can go lower and keep your back on the floor and keep your belly button in, go lower. That's it. Breathe for 4, 3, 2, 1. Release, bend, and just shrug your shoulders, release all that tension. So let's do it again. So take a deep breath in, take the arms and legs straight up to the ceiling. Lift the head. As you exhale, scrape your toes down the wall. Think about your knees locking out straight. Pull the belly button in, so look at your abdominals. Go as low as you feel comfortable. Hold it for 4, 3, 2, 1. Pull back in. So you're supported with these bands, but don't let the bands do everything. Shrug the shoulders, take out that tension. Inhale, arms and legs to ceiling. We're going to do 4 more. Lift the head on the exhale. Press your inner thighs together as you lower the legs. Hollow your belly button to your spine. Exhale down. Hold and breathe. 4, 3, 2, 1. Bend the knees, come back in. Shrug your shoulders. We're going to do 3 more. On the last 2, if you're feeling extra brave, you can take the bands off the feet. But 3 more. Legs up straight, arms up. Lift the head. Exhale, scrape your toes down the wall. And you're just going to a little pull on the bands, a little bit of support. Look at the tummy muscles. Pull in another 20% if that's possible. For 4, 3, 2, 1. Pull in. Now this is the last 2. And if you're doing it without the bands, it's pretty much the exact same exercise. You might not be able to go as low with the legs, but take the arms and legs up to the ceiling. Lift the head off the floor. On the exhale, lower those legs down. Brace your 2 muscles. Keep your lower back on that mat. And you're squeezing these thigh muscles for 4, for 3, for 2, for 1. Switch off. Grab your knees. Shrug your shoulders. Last one. Last little challenge. Try it without the bands. Let's take those legs up. Lift the head off the mat. Point your fingers at your toes. Exhale. Scrape your toes down. Lift your shoulder blades. Lift the shoulders. That's it. Reach your fingers towards your tippy toes. And breathe for 4, 3, 2, 1. Switch off. Relax those 2 muscles. Rock your knees from side to side. Soften that lower back. Now we're going to roll like a ball, or you can do rollovers, okay? So if you're rolling like a ball, remember you can grab those ankles. Make sure there's nothing behind you as you roll on your spine, or press with your hands and do a roll over. And it's a nice stretch for your back, and you get to come back up every single time. So you're going to exhale. Inhale, fill up your lungs. Exhale, press through your hands. Good. Try get those knees nice and straight above your face so you're really opening up these hamstrings. Exhale as you roll. Inhale, come back up. Now we're going to do 2 more. And on the last one, we're going to see if we can pause and stay there. Last one, put your hands on the floor. Stay in that position. Hold it. Good. So you're looking at your kneecaps. Now see if you can keep your head on the floor and come down. So drop your vertebrae one at a time down onto the mat. But use your arms, use your stomach muscles. Come down slowly, slowly, slowly. Perfect. Pause there. Now, you can either sit back up and roll over again, or if you're strong enough, stay in this position and roll over again, taking your legs up over your face, stretching the hamstrings. Perfect, Lorna. That's it. Now, knees nice and straight. Take a deep breath in. 6 seconds to come down. Exhale. 6, 5, 4, 3. Press your shoulders back into the mat. And 1. Inhale to prepare. Exhale, roll over. Stretch out the spine. We're going to do 3 more like this. Inhale, 6 seconds down. Exhale, 6, 5, 4, 3. Press your head into the floor. Last one, and drop that tailbone. Inhale. Let's do it again. Exhale, roll over. Feel those 2 muscles warming up just nicely. Take a deep breath in. And then exhale all the way down. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's do a bonus one. Are you ready? Inhale to prepare. Nearly there. Exhale. Pull your shoulders down away from your earlobes. Press through the flat of your hands, not your fingertips. Take a deep breath in. Now we're going to exhale. Come down. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now drop the tailbone, stay there. Now we're going to do a little bit of a challenge. You're going to lift the head, neck, and shoulders up like 100 position. You're looking at those feet, looking at those knees. Now see if you can drop your legs all the way to the ground and follow with a roll up. So you're going to swing the legs down and follow with a roll up. So technically it's easier, but you're still feeling those tummy muscles. So you do your spine stretch like we did at the start, opening up your back. This time as you roll back, you're going to roll down and push with your hands and go into a roll over, a slow roll over, and we're combining roll up with roll overs. That's it. You give it a nice little stretch, and then you do the same thing. You spend a few seconds pressing your vertebrae back down onto that mat, dropping the tailbone. Then when your tailbone touches the floor, you lift your head, neck, and shoulders like 100 position. You start to watch the heels drop, and then you follow. So you can go slower to make it harder, or you can just swing the legs down and come up into a roll up. So it makes it that little bit easier, but you're still feeling it. So inhale, exhale, roll down, start to lift the feet and roll over into a slow, slow roll over. It really kicks in those tummy muscles. Yes, stretch it out. Inhale to prepare. Exhale, drop the spine. When your tailbone touches the floor, you lift the head like 100 position. You start to lower the legs, lower the heels, and try to do your roll up forward. We're going to do it again. This is the last one, bonus one. You ready? It's coming up to Christmas. Inhale to prepare. Exhale, roll. Bring those legs with you and roll over. Press through the hands into the floor. That's it. Stretch out your back. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, roll the spine back down. 1 vertebrae at a time. Keep your head on the floor for as long as you can. Then you lift your head into 100 position. Then you watch the heels come all the way back down to the mat. And then you follow back up. Stretch out your back. Now let's stay here for a few seconds. Reach into the toes. Stretching out those back muscles. Then let's roll over onto our fronts. All right. So I want you to come down onto your stomach muscles for this one. So down onto the mats. And you're going to take those hands back behind you. Ooh, there's something like kicking there. All right, so I want your hands on the edge of your thighs, hands on your legs here. I want you to keep your feet on the floor. I want you to think about pulling in, because a lot of people will push out to get height and you're just putting pressure on your discs. We don't want that. So pull in and you're just levitating your chest a tiny little bit off the ground. I have no chest, so it's easy for me to levitate. But what you're going to try and do is slide your hand down. Imagine you're trying to touch the side of your knee and then bring it back to center. So you're going to exhale, slide your hand down to the other knee. And you might not be able to touch it. That's fine. But what we're doing is we're working a small muscle in the back here called the multifidus. You're going to exhale and inhale. So when I'm training you to pull the belly button in the whole time, you're connecting your TVA muscle, the pulling in muscle, with this muscle in your spine, the multifidus. And we're also bringing in those QL muscles. So we're just trying to make that connection. So you're going to exhale, reach down. Inhale, bring it back to center. Do 4, exhale. Inhale, back to center for 3. Inhale, back to center, last 2. Inhale, back to center, last 1. And then slowly drop those hands down for a second. So you're just resting your back, wiggle your hips from side to side. So you're just decompressing that lower back for a second. And then pull your toe muscles and bend your knees up towards, or bend your heels up towards the ceiling. And you're going to put your heel bones together. Press your knees out to the edge of your mat. So if you look down, it's like a diamond shape between your knees. You're going to exhale. Same thing. Think about your stomach pulling in. Exhale, lift the heels to the ceiling. Inhale, release. Now, if that's still too intense on your lower back, if you haven't quite got that connection and not have pain in your back, do 1 leg at a time. So you're lifting 1 knee off the ground and then releasing and doing the other knee. Okay, so this is to recruit those glute muscles. So you're going to exhale, squeeze, inhale, release. And you can put your heads in your hands like this. So it just switches off the upper body. Exhale. Inhale, release. Do 4 of these, just recruiting those glutes. Exhale, release for 3, exhale, release, last 2, exhale, lift, squeezing those glutes, inhale, release, last one for me, and you're going to recruit those low back muscles. Let's stay here, hovering those knees off the ground, hold it, you're going to feel it onto your glutes. It might feel a bit in your hamstrings, but you're definitely starting to wake up these low back muscles, and this is where we're training the belly button to pull in. 4 more seconds for 3, 2, 1, and switch off, drop back down, rock your heels from side to side, so it just kind of softens that lower back, nice and gentle. Now we're going to do intense stretches for the adductors, the inner thighs, the internal rotators today. So you're going to come up onto your hands. We're going to make sure those hips are nice and warmed up. So you're starting in box position. We're going to do our bent knee hip circles. And you're going to start with your knee going out to the side like this. And then we're just going to kick it back. It's just to really warm up the hip, okay? So you tuck in, swinging around, kick it back. That's all we're doing. Just warming it up. We're going to do 4 of these, 4 more. Pulling the knee in. For 3, and squeezing back there. 2 more. It's not about technique, it's just warming up. 1 more. And then we just reverse those circles. So you kick back, out, and around. So you're warming up the hip that's moving, and you're also warming up the hip that's not moving. Good. Last 3 circles. And exhale. 2 more. And then 1 more time. And let's change that leg. So you're doing the exact same thing. You're just going to circle out and around. Doesn't really matter which direction you start with because you're going to work both directions. And circle out and around. The other hip is stabilizing, and it's nice because it's warming up those hips. Last 3 circles. Out and around. Try lift that knee over that imaginary wire to the side there. That's 2. And 1 more. Now we're going to reverse those circles. Same thing. Out and around, kicking back, and just warming up those little tiny muscles. Good, last 3. Squeezing those glutes, 2. And 1. Now, let's get into this. So, you're going to need your 2 cushions on this one. You're going to take them and put them underneath your knees. It's literally just to stop your knees digging into the mat because there's no mat thick enough for this one. So, put your knees on the cushion. It's a nice little way to do these muscles. So, we're going to stretch the adductors, and we're also going to stretch the internal rotators, and you're going to feel it in different parts of your body. So, we'll start from the palms of your hands. Knees are out nice and wide, but I want your feet, more importantly, turn your feet out so that your heel lines up with your knees, and you're going to press your heel, the instep of your foot down into the ground, and you line up in that position. Now, initially, for most people, this is not comfortable. So you're going to stay in the palm of your hands, and all you're going to do is you're going to press your hips back and forward. That's all you're doing, pressing back and forward. I'm going to turn this so you can see it. It's a small movement, but it's enough to really open up those internal rotators of your hips. And that's all we're doing. We're just going to go forward to release, back to stretch, and you go to a sticking point and you'll feel it. I feel it right in there, right along the TFL. Might feel it sometimes on the back of the sacrum when we come down onto those elbows. But that's all you're doing. Go forward and back for me just a few times to open up these muscles. Because we usually have good external rotators, which is the outer hip, but our internals are usually quite bad, and it's pulling on the pelvis, and you don't notice until long training sessions when something hurts, and it's usually the lower back. So let's do another 2 like this, just on the palm of your hands. And you're just pressing back and you're breathing slowly into that stretch. And on your last one, go back to your sticking point where you feel like it's locked, it's not going to go any further. And then come down onto your forearms, down onto your elbows. So now your head lines up with your hips. You're still trying to get the heel to press down to the floor. So the instep of your foot is pushing down to that mat. And just do the same thing, just start to rock back. Come forward a little bit, inhale, and then exhale, rock back. Nice and gentle. And it's just a nice little stretch. It's not nice. It's quite uncomfortable for some people. Now you see kids sitting like this. They'll sit on the floor and have their heels stuck out to the side as if something's broken in their knees or hips. And they're hypermobile in that area. For most adults, this is not a good area. So now I'm going to set the stopwatch. You're going to sit your hips back until you feel that sticking point and just stay there. I'm going to set the stopwatch for 60 seconds. And then we start to play around with it. All right, so breathe in through the nose, out the mouth. When you're doing your stretches, any stretches, grabbing your heel to your butt or bringing your heel across, stretching out your hip, you do it for at least a minute. Anything over a minute, you're just getting brownie points. You're just going to gain flexibility and you're going to maintain that flexibility.
If you're doing it for like 10 seconds when you come back from a walk or a run, you're doing absolutely nothing. The muscle returns to its original shape, length, and then it just gets, over the years, it gets shorter and tighter. But if you do these slow maintenance stretches, they're nasty. You get to get a little bit more flexibility, and you actually build in muscle memory to the muscle. So the next time you go for a stretch, it remembers the original length is a little bit longer and it's easier to stretch. But you got to do it regularly, at least 2-3 times a week, 3 minimum, I think I would say. Now in 10 seconds, we're just going to push back up into the hands, and we're going to repeat again. So come up onto the hands just a little bit, and then you can come forward a little bit further just to release the hips, and then exhale, press back. Okay, so we're just teasing the muscles into the stretch. You won't gain huge amount of flexibility in one go, and this is why you do your stretches for longer and you do it for a little bit more often. So you're going to exhale, press back, find the sticking point, inhale, release. That's all you're doing. Now, go back to your sticking point. Now, same thing. Use your hands this time. Stay up on the hands and just push back. Hold that stretch. You'll know your tight areas could be the groin, could be right in at those hips into your internal rotators, and you might be able to feel it there at the back of the glutes as well. So it frees up the hips as well for a little bit of strength training. So I'm going to give you another 30 seconds from here. Breathe. Imagine your 2 cushions are sliding outwards. Let your hips relax. Every time you exhale, imagine heat, which will soften the muscles. Imagine heat spreading across the hip bones, across the lower back, across the tailbone. Breathing again slowly, last few seconds. Inhale, exhale. Another 5, 4, 3, 2. And this is our last time. Come down onto the forearms. So this is the last one. We're going to end up spending about 3 minutes in the stretch. So you could have stayed in one position and done absolutely nothing, but you would have been bored and crippled by the end of it. But moving, slight movements will help you get through a stretch that little bit longer. So I'm aiming for the minute mark. We're going to be talking for the 30 seconds, and you still can rock forward and back. And then the last 30 seconds is held. Okay, so you're breathing into the nose, out the mouth, and you're pressing back to the sticking point. Not forcing it. Check your knees are okay with this. That's it. Nice and gentle. Now sit back as deep as you can, but don't force it. Just breathe, because we tense up. We naturally tense up. Focus on deep breaths. And as you exhale, imagine heat crossing the lower back into the tailbone, relaxing the muscles, relaxing your inner thighs, relaxing those hips. 20 seconds. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Nice and gentle, nearly there. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hardest part. Come up onto your hands. Drag your legs back together. Gracefully. I went out crying. Oh, that is so nasty. Come off your cushions, and all you're going to do, just to kind of get those hips to kind of realign a small bit, you're just going to kick that leg back slowly, nice and gentle. Now lift a little bit higher, because I normally say lift the foot in line with the hip. I want you to lift it higher than the hip, because what it just allows a hip flexor to lengthen again, because it was fairly short on those stretches. And let's do 4 kickbacks, and then we'll get into our little spikies for 3. Nice and gentle for 2. And 1. Sit back onto those heels for a second into child pose. Reach the hands forward. Rock your hips. Rock your butt from side to side, so it just softens right across your tailbone into the little rotators of your hips. And then come up and grab those little spikies. So get your spikies. We're going to go deep into those hips. You're going to start with actually you need 1 spiky at the start, okay? So lie back on the floor. Start with your right leg out nice and straight and 1 single spiky. So we're going to go for the big glute muscles. This is the glute maximus, where it attaches down towards the fascia of your hamstrings. So take your spiky, and you're going to put it on the bottom right-hand corner of your right bum cheek. Not saying that your ass is square, but you're aiming for the bottom right-hand corner, that little point, with the right leg nice and straight. That's it. Now, initially it might be too sore. You might have a few trigger points there, but all you're going to do is you're going to wiggle your butt, tiny little movements. Just wiggle your hips from side to side, just to kind of get in at the bone at the back of the hip. And then see if you can find a kind of sensitive spot, maybe. And then lift that right leg, the straight leg, lift it off the ground.
And then you'll know if you actually have a trigger point there. So from that position, keep the leg hovering and wiggle those hips again from side to side. And that is quite nasty when you get in on those trigger points. Now, take the right foot, put it up on top of the left knee. So right foot on top of the left knee. Now do the same thing, wiggle across that hip joint. So you've opened up the hip into the external rotators. Roll that spiky all the way in towards your tailbone at the back of your pelvis, and then roll it all the way to the outer hip. So you're rolling across the fibers, driving blood flow into that area and helping it to heal quicker. So roll right across outer hip, roll all the way to the back of the glutes, back of the sacrum. So you're going to twist your knees over, twist your pelvis over, and then bring it back in. This is good for mobility on that lower back as well. Nice and gentle. And do 4 and 3, and just feel the heat rolling across that hip muscle. Last 2. And last 1. Let's do the other side. So drop that right foot down. Now let's do the left leg. So straighten out the left leg, put the spiky in the bottom left-hand corner, right down there. And then just kind of twist around, find the sensitive spots. Definitely I have one on this side. And you're just going to try push into that muscle for a second. And then to really test it, you hover the left leg off the ground. So when you hover, it puts more weight onto that spiky. And the same thing, you're just going to move and wiggle and try push blood flow back into that muscle, because it gets ischemic. Basically, it stops working and it just kind of flattens out and it stops receiving as much blood flow when it's injured. So we're just trying to force the blood flow back into it and release the injury, hopefully. Now let's take the left foot on top of the right knee. You're going into the external rotators of your hips and you get to wiggle slowly across that area. So move your pelvis as if you're kind of swinging a swing. So swing your pelvis from side to side, so it rolls in towards your tailbone, out to your outer hip. In towards your tailbone, out your outer hip. Good. Feel that tension. Feel any kind of trigger points in that area, and you're just forcing the heat and the blood flow back into that muscle. Do another 4 and 3 and 2 and 1. Release that spiky back down. Now we're going to stick with the single spikies, and I'm going to go to a more specific muscle. We're going to go for TFL, which is again the muscle we were trying to stretch down on the floor. So straighten out your left leg and have your right knee bent, just for argument's sake. We're going to put the spiky just where your crook of your hip, the bend of your hip. That's where your TFL usually lies, and that's where you're going to put the spiky. And then you just roll onto your side on that little muscle, and that gets you into that position. Okay, so it's not on the butt, it's not in the back of the butt, it's actually the front of your hip, and you got to roll onto your side, more so onto your kind of leaning forward to your front. Okay, so where you're now bend your 2 knees up, where your crook of your hip is, that's where you're putting the spiky. And all you're going to do initially, you're just going to wiggle your hips. You're just doing this kind of tilting motion through your hip, and that spiky melts in there to that little muscle. And this muscle, even though it's teeny tiny, rotates the whole hip joint. Okay, so if it's seized up and not working properly, it's going to seize up and hurt your lower back. So it's a tiny little muscle. If it's sore, it means it's not working properly. And if it's not working properly, these muscles in your lower back, your QL that goes from your hips to your ribs, has to work twice as hard. And that's where the lower back pain is coming from. So now come up onto your elbow on that side, and the same thing, you get more range. You get to go up and down maybe, or just wiggle forward and back. And it's tiny movements. It's only a small little muscle, and it's usually nasty as hell. And judging by Lorna's face there, it's working. It only gets better when you keep doing this, I promise. Don't worry, I'll send you the video. Now, just for argument's sake, we're going to do the same thing, but this time take your top knee forward, and the leg that's on the spiky, which is your right leg, straighten that leg out. That's it. Now, the same thing, you're on your elbows and you get more control. So you get to roll this way and that way, and you get to go up and down. Find your sore spot. So root around and find it. It's kind of hard to find it when the leg is straight, but I want to do a certain technique here. That's why I want to straighten the leg out. So find a sensitive spot. It might be coming closer to your thigh, maybe coming down onto your thigh muscle. Sit there, and now bring your right heel to your butt. So I've come down onto my elbows, and see if you can bring your right heel up. So the right heel comes up towards the ceiling. That's it. Now, imagine you got a white flag on this heel, and I want you to wave your white flag out and around. Now, when I kick my leg out, and most people do, that's where the TFL fires up, and that's where it hurts on the spiky, and that's the angle that I'm going to hold at. So you twist your foot out and around till you find that sore spot. Again, pain is an indicator that the muscle is not working. Oh, that is a sore spot there. I didn't think I was sore, but it just means your muscle's not functioning properly. So let's just sit on that for a few seconds. The more you do this, the easier it gets. Either it just fixes the problem or you numb out, one or the other. And do a few more seconds breathing for 3, 2, 1, and then come off that spiky. So give it a little shake, and let's do the other side. Again, nasty as hell, but really good for lower back pain, even though this is a hip muscle. So what I do to find it, as I just go on the crook of the hip, and then I just roll over onto that side. That's it. So it's sticking out the front. It's not at the back, it's sticking out the front. And I just use my elbows, and I just move around to find it that little bit better. It is not by any means a nice muscle to work on. And it's really important to do this one because this is the one that's restricting your hips, your range, your flexibility, and that lower back. So you find your TFL, nasty as hell, and you can maybe do the other one where we're bringing that knee forward, extending the left leg out nice and straight, and I can come down to the elbows a little bit more. And I get more range here. I get to go up and down along the TFL. Now, if it's too sore to even move, you don't have to move. Now, I'm going to do the white flag. So the left leg is straight. I'm going to bring the left heel to the butt. I'm on my forearms and I'm going to wave. Oh, that's nasty. Wave the little white flag around from side to side. That's it. Now, at certain angles, you're going to pop up that TFL. It's going to become more dominant. Oh, that is it. And you're going to stay at that angle and focus on your breathing. That is a trigger point release. It's not nice, but it stops being sore when the muscle stops, misbehaving. Breathe in through the nose, out to that mouth, releasing all that pressure. And again, it's from the lower back. We're taking the pressure off because we're switching on, switching off muscles here. And then slowly drop down off that spiky. And you're going to have weird dimple marks on the front of your thighs for a day or two, but you'll be grand. So let's lie back onto the floor, put the spikies into the arch of your back now. So as I said, that TFL muscle, if it's sore and tight, this lower back muscle is usually sore and tight because it has to work because that one's not working. So you can have the feet on the floor and you can wiggle from side to side if your lower back is sore, or curl your knees up to your chest and wiggle from side to side. So you're rolling across your QL muscle. And you're going to find your sore points. You can move the spiky up or down to find your trigger points because you might not land on your trigger point. You might have to move around to find it. So find the sore spots. And when you do have a tender side, so right now I'm feeling my right side more than my left. I'm going to lean to the right side. So I'm going to focus on that area and wiggle. And again, if it gets too sore, guys, drop your feet back on the floor. Just releasing all that pressure. Do the same to your other side. If you're leaning to one side, you got to create balance and symmetry by going to the other side. Same thing, just wiggling from side to side. And then drop your feet back down. Now we're going to work up through the upper back. So if you want to stay there with those spikies in your lower back, do so. But you can take the spikies up between your shoulder blades into those rhomboids. And the same thing, your head's on the floor, arms across your chest, and you can just rock from side to side. Or hands go behind your head and you lift the head and roll up and down along your spikies. You need to find your trigger points because you cannot stretch out trigger points. You can't exercise out trigger points. You can actually make them a little bit worse sometimes. The only way you can release trigger points is obviously going to your physios, dry needling, deep tissue massages, but these spikies are like the cheapest maintenance that you can do. This is like really simple at-home work that you can do to prevent, well, a lot of injuries because you're keeping your muscles kind of supple and more responsive because they're less congested and have less trigger points hopefully in them. So you're moving up and down to find your trigger point, and then we're going to take it into the upper trapezius, tops of your shoulders, so into that shrugging muscle, okay? So bring it a little bit higher, just below the neckline. Now, again, this is another pressure point area for your sinuses across your cheekbones, across the back of your eyes. So let's see if you have sinus pressure. So lift the hips up, rock your arms from side to side, and feel if there's any tension in that muscle. So trigger points don't stay usually in one spot. They pull on surrounding tissue. They just glue the fascia of one tissue to the next tissue to the next tissue. So if you say pull a muscle at the back of your shoulders, it creeps up into the top of your shoulders, into your neck and into your head and so on and so forth. Same thing. You pull a muscle in your glutes, it's going to go up into your back, maybe down into your knees. It's going to affect other areas of your body. So that's why we do trigger point release. Now, with the upper trapezius, you're going to take your arms back. Inhale. Exhale, hands go towards your belly button. Inhale, arms go back. Exhale. Inhale. And exhale, do one more. Inhale. And as you exhale, sink your spines down to the floor. Drop those arms and just kind of shrug your shoulders to your ears, releasing that tension. And then push the spikies up to your neck like a little cushion at the back of your neck. Drop the legs, drop the hands. And just wiggle your heads from side to side. Massage in the back of the neck. So just test which side is more sensitive. Is the right or the left side? So when you nod your head, just turn your head to the more sensitive side and nod your head up and down. And then with your head, draw circles. And reverse those circles. Use a single spiky in at the base of your skull. And again, wiggle your heads from side to side, looking over your right shoulder and over your left shoulder. Nodding your head on the more sensitive side. And with your head, draw circles out and around. And reverse those circles. Now take the spikies out, drop your head to the floor. Now with your two spikies in your hands, draw circles across the side of your head, all the way up into the top of your head, out and around. Bring it down onto your temples, circles on your cheekbones, down across your jaw, across your chin, lifting your chin, roll it right in underneath your neck muscles, and then slowly down onto your chest. Now roll across your chest into your shoulders, across that rib cage, releasing all that tension. Slowly bring it back up in through your neck, right across your jaw, your cheekbones, across your temples, over your forehead, and then circle to the top and sides of your head. Take the spikies in your hands. Now bring your hands down by your sides. Take a deep breath in. Squeeze on those spikies. Tense up the muscles in your body. As you exhale, relax your feet, legs, hips, shoulders, arms, and release the grip on your spikies.